could see her lying back in her satin dress.
Happy Homebrew Wednesday on a Wednesday, and let's start off with homebrew. So this is, and it's not, don't judge me because my beer is hazy, but this is an interesting beer. I'll tell you about this. It was called Blacktoberfest. Now I'm gonna call it Mocktoberfest or something. Yeah, I think Mocktoberfest is cool. So what I did was I took my Oktoberfest recipe, and because I didn't have enough time to do, or enough space in my refrigerator to do simultaneous lagers, I decided to just try this using the lager. I got Imperial's Harvest Yeast L17. I used that for the Munich Helles, which I did lager, and that thing came out great. I've already been passing around some photos. I'll probably put one up here. So that's the Helles. It came out really clear. It's going to be great. It's always the Helles. I've got that thing dialed in. It's always good. I had never. So I took this Imperial's Harvest L17 yeast. I brewed everything as if I was going to lager it, and then I just fermented it in my fast ferment. I did drop the temperature in the basement to like 65, so everyone was freezing their butts off for a while when they came down here. But it freaking took off. So I basically fermented it as an ale, kind of like a Kolsch, I guess. I don't know. I've never done a Kolsch before, but it freaking went crazy, almost like Weichyeast does, and took off like a volcano. And I had to put a blow-off tube on it. It finished the majority of the fermentation in about 3 days. I mean, it was just going nuts. It was almost like an Imperial Stout. I mean, just going crazy. I should have got more video of that. So it was very interesting. The yeast cake on the bottom was crazy. It was like a lager yeast cake. You know, I don't know if you've ever done a lager before, but when you do, the yeast cake at the bottom is always, it almost looks like lava rocks on the bottom, if you know what I'm talking about. Normally an ale, it kind of has a flat, smooth yeast cake on the bottom. With a lager, it sits in there and it looks like lava rocks. So that was kind of cool. So that was in the bottom in the ball. But what I did was I transferred it to my plastic 6-gallon carboy with an auto siphon, because in the past I've been just kind of using that little quick drain tube that came with the fast ferment just directly into a keg. I don't know, I may have oxidized one doing that because it goes out really fast. So I decided to be careful with it this time, because I'm going to be serving this on tap along with the Helles on my Jockeybox at our Blacktoberfest party, or our harvest party, in a couple of weekends. It's not this coming Sunday, but next Sunday. So anyway, this is it. Smells like an Oktoberfest. Looks like an Oktoberfest. It's going to look even better. I threw some gelatin in this thing. It'll clear up. So let's go in for a taste. It tastes like it doesn't quite taste like a lager. It tastes like something in between, like a lager and a ale, and it's got this really cool graham cracker quality to it that I used to get when I used Vienna Gold Pills Vienna. I think it was Gold Pills Vienna. I would always get this kind of graham cracker kind of thing, and this has that. So yeah, it finished out at like 10-10, 10-9, 10-10. So it finishes nice and dry, crisp, with a little bit of malt sweetness in the background from the Vienna malts. Yeah, this is going to be a really good complement to the Helles. I'm very, 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 very pleased with this. So anyway, Mocktoberfest. So that opens up a whole new, that should be a whole new category, brewing lager yeast as an ale. You know, it's kind of cool. What do you call that, a lale or a auger? I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. What else? So I cold crashed another beer I put in the refrigerator today, so it's doing its thing. Yeah, I did have 3 empty taps. Now I've got 3 full taps. So I guess I've had to take a little break because now I've got. I guess I can start brewing now because after next Sunday I'll have 2 empty taps and one that'll be nearly empty. So the third beer is my round 2 submission for SJ Pour. Same beer from round 1. I just had to rebrew it. So that's what I'll talk about now. So very, very happy that I was selected to go forward to round 2 out of my hub. Man, there was some really good beers in there. You could see I posted all my videos, and I put little timestamps for all the videos so you could kind of see if you're following along with your beer. But there was some really good beers. Some beers with some really crazy aromas. You know, some beers that I scored really high that I don't think made it through. So that's, you know, but it's kind of cool. You never know what's going to happen in the SJ Pour competition. It's very fun. It's very fun getting to judge other people's beers. And it's also really cool now because you get to see the names of the folks that advance onto the next round and for the 4th place. So, you know, I actually met some folks that I hadn't, you know, that I didn't know. I think one of them I actually met down in the National Homebrew competition or convention, and he and I are going to exchange some beer recipes and brew each other's beers and you know, taste each other's beers. So that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, if you're watching this and you were on the fence and you kind of, yeah, maybe I should have jumped in, I'm telling you, dude or dudette, you got to do it next year. It's so much fun. So anyway, made it through the next round. I think our beers are due to be shipped in a couple weeks. The window starts, so I'm in good shape for that. Everything looks to be going well. The other thing that I'll talk about for a minute, you know, last SJ Pour challenge, I kind of got burned. Not anybody's fault but my own. But the venue or the format for that SJ Pour, I guess it was 2017 SJ Pour competition because they took 2018 off. But it was brew three different beers. One for the first round, one for the second round, and then a different one for the third round. And then, you know, there's some limitations in terms of if you use certain ingredients, you couldn't reuse them, you know, later on. And then they gave you some constraints on what recipes you could use or what ingredients you could use for each round. So, you know, that was very challenging because you had to come up with, you know, different recipes. You couldn't just take one beer and ride it all the way through. What happened to me was, I think my beer gun either wasn't cleaned properly or sanitized properly or something, because the beer tasted great out of the keg. I always bottle off the keg. But the bottles all had this super strong Band-Aid, which is like wild yeast. Wild yeast got in it somehow. So yeah, I suspect that's what happened. I can't say for sure. But it was a crusher for me because I had done really well in my hub. I was moving forward to the next round, and I just called the hub coordinator and said, you know, it was Josh Hoover at the time, and said, dump it. You can drink it if you want, but don't send that on to the competition. It's not fair to the other brewers to have to compete with a beer that's infected. So, but anyway, I was a little mad about that for a while, you know, and it was cool. SJ came down here and we talked about it, and Josh Hoover came down here to the Dean's List and we talked about it. But at the end of the day, you know, it was my fault. That competition, that venue did exactly what it was supposed to. You know, if you had some weaknesses like that, it was going to expose it. So, you know, whether it's the recipe wasn't strong or you had some kind of off flavors or infection or something. So that happened to me, and now that I look back on it or reflect on it, it was really good that it happened because I've really stepped up my game back to kind of when I first started homebrewing in terms of cleaning and sanitation. And I'm still pretty sure it was the beer gun. I don't think it was like every single bottle somehow got infected with wild yeast. The common thread was the beer gun. It was either that or the bottle caps, you know. But I think the Blickman beer gun touched everything, so I think that's probably what it was. So I went to my homebrew store because I wanted to make sure I didn't have anything happen this time, and I'm still knock on the maple here that nothing's going to. But wow, this is going to be really. I just kegged this like an hour ago, and it's already tasting really, really good. So I went to the homebrew supply store and I asked Derek, is my guy at my local homebrew store. If you're ever in Fairfax, Virginia, go patronize or patron this guy. Or patron, how do you say it? Go visit his store. He's awesome, dude. I gotta make sure I send him this link so he watches this. But and I said, hey, I'm a little worried about infections. You know, I had something happen. I think it was my beer gun. You know, what do you recommend? And he's like, have you ever used this? And it's like this iodine Star San. It looks like Star San, comes in the same bottle. It's probably the same company, but it's like iodine. It's got iodine in it. And he said, take this, you know, sanitize it with this first, and then do everything normally like you did before. It boils the bacteria from the inside out. Really freaking cool. So that's what I did. I did it with all my equipment. I did it with the beer gun. I was like very, very anal about it. And man, it makes your eyes water. So man, there's no way, trust me, there's no way any bugs got into this one because I freaking roasted them. I roasted their ass. So anyway, fingers crossed that no wicked bugs get in. I will do the same thing with my bottle caps and my bottles and the beer gun again for the second round. But anyway, so that was a very, very good thing that came out of it. And there's all kinds of lessons you get from the SJ Pour challenge. I guess the other thing is that, so I moved on to round 2. Did really, really well. Got a lot of good feedback, and I really liked the scoring. They had really cool spreadsheets. Made it very easy. I just had my laptop and got to type it directly in, whereas before I'd try to write it, and you know, much easier with the spreadsheet. So to the administration of SJ Pour Challenge, great job. You guys are kicking ass. Very, very professionally done. And man, we got all the sponsors and everything. So anyway, I am on cloud 9 right now that I get to continue on, and there's some good dudes moving on. You know, my boy Secor and Feck and who else made it through? Wally Feck, Josh Secor. Man, I'm missing somebody. Yeah, I guess that was the 3 from our normal group. Not normal group, but guys that I've been chatting with all this time. And then of course, the so-called all-stars are coming up in round 2. They've been sitting back on the fence. You know, it's almost like they get the first round bye because they're they had clinched their seeds early on. But anyway, so that's that. And yeah, so next beers, I really want to get on a Pilsner kick. I've actually been talking about doing a collaboration with a couple of folks. And the one I think I'm going to jump on first is Matthew Morris from Rec Brewery. We talked about a Gosa, which I think that'll be very interesting. So I think we're going to do that, and you know, look forward to that. That'll be fun. But I think that's all for this week. My wife's going away this weekend, so it's me and the kids again, trying to make sure I don't burn down the house. And my Nationals made it into the playoffs. They clinched the wild card slot yesterday off of a Trey Turner grand slam. So loving it. Hockey's about to start. In 2 weekends, that Blocktoberfest party I talked about, the night before, all the dudes get together in the neighborhood, and this guy named Bev shows up, and he's got a freaking backpack jet flamethrower, and he torches this little fire pit. And then we sit around and we drink beer and we watch hockey. This guy puts up a screen. We watch the Capitals. Hopefully there's a game. I think there's probably going to be one. But we watch the Capitals, drink some beer, and then the next day, the guy Bev with the flamethrower, he's got a freaking smoking truck. He pulls up this big ass smoker. He smokes like a pig, and I mean literally a pig. It's like a luau. And then the next day, when we have the block party, we've got the pig out there. So you got my beer in a jockey box. You got kids running around everywhere doing fun stuff, and we block off a cul-de-sac. The fire truck comes. It's awesome. So, but anyway, looking forward to that, hanging out with those guys. And the flamethrower dude is cool, man. It's fun watching that. That's how he torches the pig, too, to get the fire started. But anyway, I've rambled on long enough at 14 and a quarter. So, hey, have yourself a happy homebrew, and have a good luck to all you round 2 guys. And watch out, all you all-stars, because we're coming for you. And have yourself a very, very happy Homebrew Wednesday. Cheers. Mocktoberfest.